let us quickly take a look at some of the network performance metrics, meaning the numbers, how to actually get the numbers that can make you be able to say whether a network is performing efficiently or your network is not. For you to be able to get these performance metrics, you then need a network monitoring software. The most popular amongst these would be your ping, traceroute, and speed test sites, which are quick, easy to use for troubleshooting tools, but they don't provide an in-depth information or analysis. For example, a speed test site doesn't take into account the fact that you are sharing bandwidth with colleagues and patrons. If the speed test indicates that you have 200 kilobits per second connection, even though you're paying your ISP for 1.54 megabits per second line, the slowdown is probably due to the other people who are actually using the network with you. So that's the problem with your speed test. For you might be wondering, is there such a thing? We can then just go here and just Google speed test. Once you do so, you'll see there are many options that come on your screen to say check your speed of your internet. There is running the speed test that I just took the first one that came about, and it's telling me that my internet speed is around 20, from 15 to around 21 megabits per second. So that's actually my download speed. Then my upload speed, let's say I'm trying to upload a video, is also around the same amount there. As you can see, it's about 19.8. So my upload is 20.8. My download is 20.8. My upload is actually 19.8. So it actually even tells me here your internet connection should be able to handle multiple devices streaming HD videos at the same time, which is actually true because that's what I actually do. I share this internet with my whole family. So that's actually one of the ways to test whether your internet is working perfectly. But now, this is not really conclusive, as it doesn't really show which other devices are actually connected to this internet. It just did this on my laptop to find out the speed on my laptop, which could be a little bit misleading, as it would show as if that's, that's the only device that's actually using this particular network. Then we have also what we call ping and traceroute. If you want a quick snapshot of the latency in your network, latency being the delay between the message that you have sent or the information you have sent to the time that it is actually received by the receiver. So that period of time, let's say you're saying something, and I'm sure you've seen this on the news when there is a journalist on the ground, and when the one in the studio is talking to the one on the ground, there's a little bit of a delay between the way they hear the information and receive the information. And at one point, you just see one of the journalists just blankly looking at the screen. It's not like they're being stupid or silly, it's just because there's a lot of delay before they get the information. In other words, there's a lot of latency before they get the information that they're looking for. So they're literally listening and waiting for the information to arrive. Though to us watching at home, it is faster, so there's less latency. That actually makes us feel like something is actually wrong or something is actually weird. It's all because of that little delay. So let's say you want to find out about the latency, you can actually do what is called a ping test. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate this. A ping test is actually able to send a message and echo it back. So once I've sent a message, the time I receive it back is actually the latency. So if I send a message and I received it back in 3 milliseconds, it actually means there is a delay of 3 milliseconds. That's actually my latency. And it's important to know this. As I told you, this could interfere with your type of communication and so forth. So you would like to actually understand what's actually happening. So that maybe you need to give some time of listening to someone when they talk to you. Let's say it's actually in the studio and you are now working for a media company. You then need to put that into consideration. Otherwise, you might actually get angry or get frustrated over that delay. So it's not something that we always aim, of course, to eliminate it. but it doesn't mean that it's always possible to eliminate it, because it just depends on the medium of communication that we have chosen. After time, we might have no choice but to use your satellite type of communication. Satellite is the most amount of latency, but is also the most efficient because it's the most available literally all over the world. So as long as you are somewhere on the ground, there is probably a satellite in space that is able to give you your information. But now that actually means that satellite is ready to receive information from Earth, redirect it to another place on Earth. So that's two-way traffic out into space and back to the Earth. That is a lot of delay in it. But if we're now to say, okay, let's just use, for example, your cable connection. Some areas, even here in South Africa, you have no cable connection. Therefore, you can't even reach them if you wanted to supply internet to them. And some areas also can't be reached by your LTE, meaning your phone SIM cards. So you can go there, but there's still no network, or it's very poor. So again, you might need another form of communication or another form of internet service provision, and that's where your satellite dishes might be the best idea, but unfortunately they also come with a lot of latency. So it's one thing to avoid latency. It's also another thing to just recognize that it's there and be able to deal with it, because sometimes you really can't get rid of it. Now, the last thing that we use is actually speedtest.net, which is, I think that's the net, what do we call it? The site that I just used to measure my own speed on my laptop about the speed of my network. So what you just do, you just go to it and say test, and then it will run the test and see what's happening in terms of uploading and downloading, and those speeds will actually determine whether your internet speed is fast or not, and they can just give you a little conclusion, like they told me, that this type of network should be able to actually handle HD networks, HD streaming of videos on multiple devices, which is actually true, because that's what happens at my house. I hope you learned a lot. Let's go ahead and go to the next video.